How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we work on this. Yep, if you saw one of my other videos, I showed how to actually lower one of these trucks. And that's what we're going to be doing to this one. But it's not just going to get lowered, it's going to get a different paint job too. But what I will be doing is saving the wheels and the chassis, because we can use that for other things. But it's got a couple of plastic bits on there, so we need to take care of all that. And if you've never taken one of these apart before, they're actually very simple to work on. But all you have to do, there's a screw there in the front, there's a screw in the back. Just take your small screwdriver, Phillips shape. We get a container to put all this in. We have been busy in the workshop tonight. Oh my goodness. Set these to the side. They may stay in, they may fall out. You don't know till you try it. But we want them to come out. Okay, there's those two. And then once you get it apart, that'd be pretty cool right there. But once you get it apart, if you want to take the wheels and the suspension off, which we're going to do, there's 4 screws there. Because we're not going to use this suspension, we're not going to use these wheels for this project. We'll save that for another project. And I've got one coming up very shortly, as a matter of fact. So there's the base. It just goes back on the same way it came off. 2 screws. And now look how it looks. That big boy looks sharp now. We could just drill a small hole and run our axles through there and pinch them off and put some wheels on it, but that's not what we're going to do. We want this bad boy to be lowered. Not that low, of course, but we want it to be lowered. So that requires us to cut this out, which is the next step. But I got to strip this body so that we can get it ready for paint. But there's that. Nice little interior. Pretty detailed for what it is. It will open up so that you can get in there paint. Door handles, all that great stuff. Pedals. But I gotta get this glass out and I gotta get this front bumper off. Front bumper should just wiggle right off. Yep. Because it just slides in behind these 2 posts. That's all there is to the body, but we gotta get that glass out of there. So, if you've never removed glass before, I'm gonna warn you right now. Go very slow. Take your time. I can't stress that enough. It's the same bit that you use to take the heads off the rivets for the bases of Hot Wheels, but you may have to step it up to cut the glass just a little bit. So that stated, here we go. Just go real slow like I was saying. And there we go. This bad boy is now ready to go in the stripper. Because there's no post for me to try to drill and tap. It's already been drilled and tapped and all that great stuff. So, next step is to go in the stripper. Now I will run a screw in here before it goes in, so that it doesn't get all that crap in it. But that's all there is to taking one of these cars apart. Alright, here's the Apache straight out of the stripper. I think it looks pretty dang good from what I can see. Got a little bit of cleanup to do, you know. Make sure I got all the citrus strip out of all the holes, the nooks, the crannies, stuff like that. Ooh, she looks kind of rough above the doors. We'll have to take care of that. It looks like it's file marks from like a grinder or something. And you can see it real good on that side. I don't know why it's like that, but it won't be like that when we're done. I'm looking to see if there's any real bad casting lines or anything, and you know, there's one or two that goes right down through here, but I think once I hit it with the sandpaper, those will go away. So the first thing I always do is go over it with the bristle brush, knock everything out of the grooves and nooks and crannies. After you get it with that to where it's satisfactory to you, we go back over the outside again with steel wool, 4-0 steel wool, and it takes that stuff right off, and you get a good look at what you're working with. A little bit of pitting, but that file line, I don't know what happened there. I guess they was trying to take off their own casting line. But you can see the casting line goes right down the back. I don't know. We'll try to work on some of that. I'm not going to shoot for all of it, but it looks like that's the main thing that needs to be worked on. So we'll go over the whole thing with steel wool, and I'll show you what that looks like. I know, see what we're working with. Like I said, it's not bad. It's got a lot of pitting in it, but that's normal casting stuff, you know. It's just the way it looks when it's cast. If you was going to spectraflame, of course, you'd try to polish all that out, but we're not going to be spectraflaming it. But I am going to work on that. They actually flat spotted that, so I'm going to try to round that just a little bit with my files. And then we'll work on this casting line a little bit on the back, and then we'll sand it. So let's start with that. Now, if you want to try to do what I'm fixing to do, you're going to have to make sure that you have several different things of sandpaper, is what I'm trying to say. And the reason for it is this is going to put big scratches in it, like you see there. All that's got to be worked out. So we're going to be putting those on this back. So all that's going to have to be worked out. So what I do is I hit it with the file, then I hit it with the 80, then I hit it with 150, then I finish with 320. I stopped at 320 because it's going to be primed and painted. If it'll hide all that, it'll hide any scratch marks from that 320. So let's see, what can we do about this. Man, that looks rough. I'm going to change the directions to like that to try to get it to look a little better. And all we're doing is looking for the angle they had when they made it flat, and then we're going to try to roll it just a little bit as we file. And it'll take the flat spot and changing it back into a rounded edge. And then we just keep looking at it until all those lines going that way are gone and they're all going this way. That's what we're looking for. You can still see a few right there and a couple right there. So, oh yeah, it looks a lot better. They flat spotted the crap out of that. I think that'll work. You can see that now. It's not, the lines aren't going perpendicular with the roof line. I've got almost all of them. There's a couple right there I may try to get out compared to that. This is actually flat. Well, if you look at it now, it's not flat anymore. It is actually rounded now, which is how it's supposed to be. So we've taken the flat part out of it and we've put the curve back into the roof line. So there's that side. Do this side the same way. I know, looks like you're destroying it, but you're not, I promise. So I'm going to do the same thing over here on this line that we just did that line. Then we'll come back and start sanding. Alright, got them both done. Now what we're going to do is go back over the same thing. And since I've got to sand this anyway, I'm going to go ahead and sand the whole roof. I'm only going to hit the corners with the 80, and then I'll blend the rest of it in. I'll hit this with the 80, of course, but then hitting the whole roof with the 80, and then trying to have to work all that down. But all we're doing is trying to get rid of those file marks, those deep, deep, deep file marks. Alright, there it is. As you can see, those file marks are gone. The roof is now rounded again instead of flat. And even though this is a Jada, I mean, it's still going to be a very nice truck when I get done. Got rid of the casting lines on the back. Like I said, if there's anything left whenever I prime it, I'll hit it with G-putty. Because this particular type of putty, it needs the base of the primer to stick to. But there's that. Now all we got to do is clean it up real good and prime it. Alright, let's get this bad boy painted up. I'm going to be spraying this my absolute most favorite color, blood red. But with that stated, here's what the body looks like right now. I mean, I love the way this looks. The gold and everything. I could clear coat it and put some really nice rims on it and go with that. But what we're going to do instead is, this is a Jada truck, and I'm lowering it. This started out life as a four-wheel drive, as you remember. And I want to make this a lowrider, so I'm going to be spraying this my favorite color. Then of course we'll be doing some detailing to the front grille and the headlights and the tail lights and all that stuff, but first we gotta get this bad boy sprayed. So again, like I said, got my airbrush, make sure it works. Got my favorite color already mixed up, blood red. It doesn't take a whole lot. I always mix a little too much, but it doesn't take a whole lot. And test spray, make sure everything comes out okay. Start with the inside like always, then the outside. And then you just have to figure out how dark you want your color, and you can see it quickly covers it. So we always hit it with a light coat first. gives it a tack coat, but look how that's looking already. We'll give it a tack coat or a light coat, that way it gives the next layer something to stick to. But look at how that's already changing. Is that not cool or what? Now we can come back and hit it with wet coats. This is where you need to be deciding on how dark you want this to go, because that right there is beautiful. But I'm actually going to go a little darker than that. So we'll give this a few minutes to dry and then we'll come back. That's what it looks like with the second wet coat on it. Still see some gold right in there, so there we go, get rid of that. But yes, look at how that's going. That looks beautiful. I'll probably go one, maybe two more coats. We'll have to see. But you can use air out of your airbrush to help dry it, help flash dry it. Now I know there's a lot of people that don't do the insides of their cars, and that's fine. Everything is always personal taste. But I figure if I'm going to put forth the effort to do it, this is just my way of thinking. If I'm going to put forth the effort of doing it, I want it done right. Number one, you know, somebody might want this vehicle and I might give it away. I might sell it. I might trade it. So when they get it, I don't want them to look in the windows for detailing and stuff, like on the interior, and see that the interior is a completely different color than the body. And I mean, it only takes a second. It doesn't cost any more. You've already got it mixed. So, all right, let's hit it with the third coat and see how it looks. Oh yes, that is looking so good. And Mr. Jeff Brummon actually wants me to do him a candy apple red. And that's what this is. This is candy apple red. Anytime you put red over gold, that gives you the candy apple color. And you can actually do a candy apple blue, a candy apple green, any color, but a translucent color has to go over gold to have the candy apple look. So we're going to go one more coat. And then this paint job will be done outside of the clear coat. Yes, I'm going to put about 4 coats of clear on this one, because I want this bad boy to look rich. I want it to look wet. I want it to look good. I might even use 2K clear on this one. I've never used 2K clear, but I think I might just do it on this one. But here we go, one more coat. Hit the inside first. I've got plenty of paint. Look at that bad boy, would you? Holy cow. Alright, this bad boy is looking good, isn't it? Woo woo! Well, now it's time to take care of the base. I should have took care of this a long time ago, to be honest. But we're going to go ahead and take care of it now. And what I mean by taking care of the base is we have to put wheels on it. But we're not really going to be doing anything to the body. We just need the body so we can mark for the wheels. Because as you can see, this joker, it wasn't meant for regular tires and wheels. It was meant for the 4x4 wheels that come on it. So there's no wheel well per se. And the wheels that I'm going to use are kind of old schoolish, which is the look that I'm going for with this truck. It's going to be lowered, but it's going to have an old school look, so I want some old school Krager type wheels on it. And these will almost fit in there like it is, but you can see they stick out just a little bit. And we can't have that because it'll rub. They have to be tucked in there. So we have to figure out how much of this we need to cut, and we have to mark it and all that good stuff and actually cut it out. So that's what we're going to do now. Let me get a marker. Something that I can use that will show up on that. I'll just use Sit Gray for now. So if we take the wheels and we hold them up there about where we think we want it, because we know we want it to stay inside the wheel wells, so that means that it needs to come back to like right about there. So if I measure that and take it on all 4 wheels, that should be what we're looking for. So let me get that taken care of. Alright, so that I don't mess that paint job up, I'm going to put this on here, and I'm going to basically just line it up with the outside edge of the screw holes there and there. Just going to line it up with that, and that's what we're going to cut out, if this will mark it. There's our lines that we got to cut on, but we also need to cut in this way, and you can see that one's a little crooked. I'm going to have to fix that one. What happened there? Guess it moved on me when I was marking it. Here we go. And now we'll just line it up with the wheel well. Guess I'll cut it right across there, across that path. And then you can cut however much this way you want. As you can see, it's going to take pretty much the whole thing. That's why I just went ahead and marked it so that I could cut out the whole wheel well. Just going to cut right straight down there, right down that line. What I did was I came back and I put a pencil mark. I lined up my ruler right across the center of those holes, and you can see a line right there, and you can use the center axle on the back. And I took the pencil mark all the way out, because what I want to do, I'm going to try cutting out just enough for the wheel and see how that goes. I may end up having to cut the whole wheel well out. I don't know for sure. I'm going to have to wait and see how it looks, because these wheels aren't really that big. These tires really aren't that big. So I don't want a big, huge, gaping hole, if that makes sense. I actually have this little cheap saw that I bought at the Dollar Tree. Let me move this truck out of the way so I don't hit it. To where we can actually cut straight if we decide to. Like such. That's what I'm going to start with. And it's just, like I said, a cheap little saw that I got at the Dollar Tree. But for something like this, I think it would work wonders. Pencil mark right there. As you can see, I've got it notched, I've got it cut. It's not perfect. I could have done a better job, but I'm trying to rush for the purpose of this video, and I'm not shooting for perfect on this. This is just something I'm playing with, learning. But I can go a little deeper right there, that way it's level with that front one, but I can use the jeweler saw for that. And 2 more times. There's that. Now I'll just cut this out along that line, and if you have to redraw the line, that's no big deal. Very simple to do. Because like I said, it's just a pencil mark and it can rub off and all kind of stuff. It's just something to go by. Do one at a time. I'm going to get these cut out, and you can see I'm going to stay on the back side of that screw hole for now. I may end up going a little further, but for now that's where I'm going to stay. So now I just got to get this in that hole. Very simple, you know, you just undo your saw blade. Stick it in the hole. Keep some tension on it, tighten it back down. And I don't have one of those fancy 2x4s. I'm just going to be doing this by hand, freehanding it. You see, I just went through there. And that cut is just a hair crooked, but we can take the file or a razor knife or anything and square that up. So now I just need to go the other direction with it. There's that. You see, it just looks neater by leaving some of that. But again, it's not cut perfectly square, but we'll straighten that up with the file. Let me get the other three cut out and I'll be right back. Okay, after you get it cut out, this is what you're going to end up with. A bloody mess. I know, it looks rough. That's what we make these for, right? At least that's what I'm going to use. Just find one that's pretty coarse that'll do the job. And all I'm going to do is I'm just going to square up the holes. I'm not looking to do anything else at this time. I'm just looking to make the hole look better. Let me tell you now the reason that I wanted to leave these holes. It gives you something to drill through for the axles. That gives you something to go through. Otherwise you would have to be trying to cut all this stuff out and get it to lay down in there flat and everything. So by leaving that, that gives us something to actually work with. As you can see, that should be just about right by the time we put the axles and stuff in there. That should be just about right. We can always come back and touch it up if we need to. But now, we need to decide how low we really want to take this bad boy. I'm going to take it pretty low. Be honest with you, I'm basically going to be drilling right at the bottom of where it meets the flat part of the base, this being the base. I'm going to go pretty much right at the bottom of that. And if you look, it's kind of hard to see, but if you look, you can see a piece of plastic right there in the middle, kind of like a lip. That's where we want to try to drill through. Either that or stay just on top of it. I think what I'm going to do is just stay on top of it and go straight in. So next we need to figure out our axle material. And I'm going to be using this music wire, 0.470, number 5502 from Hobby Lobby. The reason I'm going to use that is it's just a little bit bigger than the hole on these wheels. So by the time I force it on there, it'll stay. Of course I got to force it on straight, but so I need to find a bit the same size as this, that way I can drill it through, and that's what we're going for. And it appears that a 1/16 bit is just a hair larger than the axle itself, so that's what we're going to use. That's what we're going to try. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to go just above that little piece of plastic right there. Go right above it and try to stay right in the middle of the hole and drill it out. You can go around on the other side and do the same thing. So let's see if the actual stuff will fit. Oh yeah, look at that. Right on the money. Heck yeah. So let's do the back the same way. No sense in watching that, you just watch me do the front. We'll be right back. And this is where you start seeing if you're going to have any fitment issues with the fender wheels and stuff. See, it goes right in there, but it starts hitting. So I can see right now that I'm going to have to take that off. So I might as well just cut the whole fender well off, because it's going to hit, and I mean the tire will go in it, but it won't allow it to rub. So that's one of the things you run into. Just take you a set of trimmers, set of cutters. Cut it right off. And as I push, I can see that it's hitting just a little bit on that front. So I need to take my file and clearance that hole just a little bit on both sides. But that's one of the things that you run into. So I'm going to do that because, like I said, I've got to use this as a pointer. It's hitting here and it's hitting here. So I'm going to go ahead and clearance that, rotate it around and do the outside too, and then we'll cut the wire. So let's see. I went ahead and cut off 4 of them. See if we have the clearance now. Oh yeah, look at that. That is perfect. And right about there is where I want it. But I can see on this back side I need to take that back just a little bit, because see how it sticks out further than the other one. So I need to take that back one back. And let's check the other side. You know, you just constantly check everything until you get exactly the way you want it. That one is close. I think we can get away with it. But you just keep checking, you keep working, you keep checking, you keep working until you get it exactly the way you want it. Oh yeah. So you don't want it up against the plastic because then it won't roll. I want to keep it something like that. So I need a bead, 1 or 2 beads on there if I have any that with a hole that big, or I need a piece of brass tubing or something. Let me see what I have. Alright, let's see. I found some glass beads that I think will work. They should fit right down in that hole. No, I might have to open it up just a hair, because I actually want that glass bead to fit down in there just a little bit. So now we take the file and get it to where it'll fit down in that hole and go to the next step. Alright, so there's that. And these beads are just the right color to where they really don't stick out. So I'm going to stick another one on here for the other side and hope that it fits. Because you know how these dang glass beads are. Some of them will fit, some of them won't. Yeah, that one's tight. That one ain't going to work. Might have to go through the whole case. Yep, there we go. So we'll slide that one on there. Put that one back in for a rainy day. Take the wheel, put it on here, hold it up best we can, and try to guesstimate at the length. And I'll cut it a little long, and then we can come back and trim it down if we need to. So I'm going to say something like right there. Alright, let's see, stick this in the wheel. Put a bead on it. Now, we have a rolling chassis, and this ticker is going to be super low. Alright, got that on there. There's how it looks finished. You can see it's a nice roller, front and back. I could actually trim down that axle just a little bit, and I may have to depending on the body. So with that being stated, let's see how it looks in the body. There's the front, there's the back. Still gotta put the bumpers on. Yeah, I'm definitely gonna have to narrow that down a little bit in the back because it's gonna hit the inside of the wheel wells, but look at how good that's gonna look. Front roll's just fine. I am going to have to narrow down the back just a hair in order for it to be a good roller. And it'll roll, but it's not good. It's hitting the inside of the fender well, so I'll have to do a little bit of adjusting on that, a little trimming. Alright, I got it put back together. She spins a lot better now, a lot more free. Oh yes, that jumper just looks so good now. But I got to put it back together. I've got to do some detailing. I got to put the glass back in, the interior back in, and the bumper. But let me get that done and we'll look at the final product on the turntable.